Got the package of figures off the floor, still in bubble wrap. So I submitted 5 figures at the express level, which is 30 to 40 days. And these are the 5 that came back. I also submitted another 5 in the same package at the economy level, which is 2 to 3 months and not guaranteed. So I got these around the middle of September, and the other ones I sent in at the same time at economy level, I expect to get back maybe November, maybe after that. The difference between express, which is 30 to 40 days, is $60 versus $40 for economy. So if you can be patient, you pay less, and that's the rate for vintage figures. Modern figures are a little bit less expensive to get graded. So the 5 that I sent in are these on this paper here. And so I sent in a snaggletooth. It being carded, of course, it's red, but this just from my database, I noted it was red. It's a 21 back B, and I expect it to come back at a 75. Then got a Zuckus, an Empire Strikes Back card. I'm expecting a 75 plus, and then as we go down, an A-Wing Pilot, Imperial Dignitary, and Warrock. I expect the A-Wing Pilot to get an 85. It was very clean. I'm pretty good at estimating what grades things are going to get, but as we'll see here, we'll determine how good I am at making that prediction. I wrote this down when I sent all of these in, so I didn't look at them and then just write down what the actual grades were. So let's get started and take a look at our first figure. I think on top is Zuckus, which, if you know anything about Kenner and toy history and the history of Zuckus and Forlom, it's listed as Zuckus on the card. So this is the droid that Kenner called Zuckus and that we now call Forlom. So we'll take a look at that first. We'll just do it in order, and I'm going to try not to peek ahead at what the grades were. So the first one being Zuckus, I'm expecting this to come back at a 75. I'm hoping it comes back at an 80. Sometimes I'm really surprised and it comes back a lot higher, but we're expecting a 75 on this. So let's take a look, and I'm not looking at the grade on the bottom. Let's see if I can slide this out. No, it's not. I guess it's too wrapped up. All right. I'm going to do it like this. So the grade labels are all here in the bottom corner. One of them is archival, but the rest are not. So I can see through because of these lights. And let's do that. So if the camera might be picking up those grades. They look pretty good so far. Okay, very first, Zuckus. And this is an Empire Strikes Back 48C card, which is what I thought it was. I expected it to come back at a 75 plus. It actually came back as an 80, which is the high side of what I expected this to come back at. So I'm very happy with that. The punch, you can see maybe, let's see. You can see that it's partially punched, and there's a little bit of damage there around the punch. It's not terrible. It doesn't really detract from the presentation. This also came back as clear, which, Empire Strikes Back cards, some of them come back, some of them, the bubbles do yellow, some don't. And I did do an archival on this one as well. So the archival, you have to pay extra to get UV protection. And if you're grading anything where the bubble is clear still, if it's Empire or after, so Empire, Return of the Jedi, Power of the Force, if you have a clear bubble, I would definitely suggest springing for the archival. If it's an expensive figure, archival is the way to go. If it's a cheap Return of the Jedi figure, maybe you shouldn't send it in for grading anyway, but if it's a cheaper Return of the Jedi figure that's already yellowed, maybe UV isn't necessary. Maybe if you're really proud of that figure and want to put it out in the sun or put it where it gets a lot of light, maybe you want to consider that. Anyway, so this Zuckus came back at an 80, and I'm very happy with that. That's on the high side of what I expected to get back. So next is the A-Wing Pilot. And I was expecting to get that back at an 85. And because I can see through the bottom of the label, I can see that it actually is an 85, but let's take a look here. And maybe if I turn this like this, I can't see the labels. So a little bit more. These are in plastic bags, so it's sealed acrylic, or seal except for the very little crack in the back to prevent it from accumulating moisture. But then they also put a plastic bag over it, so to protect the acrylic from getting scratched. So this A-Wing Pilot came back at an 85, actually a very strong 85, all things considered. Card got an 85, bubble 85, and the figure got a 90. So definitely was an 85 figure, no question about that. So very happy with that one. And I can see already that the next one up is the Snaggletooth on the Star Wars card back. I don't have a whole lot of Star Wars card back stuff, so I'm really hoping this comes back good. I estimated it would come back at a 75. I actually got a really good deal on it on eBay. If it comes back a 75, great. If it comes back higher, even better. But let's just take a look. I also did archival. You see that little sticker here because the bubble is clear. And this one came back a 75, which is, what I expected. There's some whitening, some white marks on the side of the card and up here at the top. And so the card came back as a 75, bubble 75, and the figure 85. So that's what I expected that to come back at, as a 75. I was hoping for an 80, but I think that's absolutely reasonable for the condition that this card is in. And it's still fantastic. So I kind of got this before prices started surging even more in 2020 due to everyone being at home due to COVID and hanging out on eBay and buying too much stuff. So happy with that. The next one is the Imperial Dignitary. And this one I'm expecting to come back in an 85. I don't remember exactly what the issues with the card were, but I do expect it to be, an 80. Come back as an 80, but hoping for an 85. So let's take a look. The bubble's already yellow on this, like the vast majority of Power of the Force cards or bubbles, and so I did not do archival on that one. So let's take a look together, and it's an 85. So came back a little bit better than I expected. I think the reason why I was kind of hedging what I thought it might get is because of the card, and card did get an 80, but the bubble and figure itself got an 85, so that's great. And it is punched when I can. I like to get unpunched, but I'm not, adamant about always getting it back, always getting them unpunched. Have a little bit of whitening on the side here. That's one of the reasons why the card got an 80 rather than something higher. Back is very clean, so there's minor creasing that you see on Power of the Force cards frequently where the bubble and the coin were sealed to the card. But very happy that this came back in 85. And of course, it being mint on card and not having been shaken around and played with a lot, there's no nose rub like you see on the vast majority of the loose Imperial Dignitaries. So that's great. That one came back higher. So we've had them come back all higher than I expected, except for the A-Wing Pilot, or all at or higher than I expected. I expected the Snaggletooth to be a 75. It was. Zuckuss I expected at 75 plus. It was an 80. A-Wing was an 85, which is what I expected. Imperial Dignitary came back as an 80 and an 80, or an 85, which is higher than I expected. So last one is Warwick, and I expect this to be an 80, but I'm hoping for an 85. So that's the last one to take a look at. Let's pull this one out. Set the bubble wrap to the side a little bit, and there we go. So this one got an 80 plus, which you see sometimes more recently than in the past. I'm not sure exactly when they started doing the plus grading, but so this one got 80 plus. I expected it to be an 80, hoping for an 85, and it was in between. So that's great. Warwick is one of the last 17, was only issued on Power of the Force cards. It is unpunched, which is also great. So card got an 80, the bubble and figure both got 85s. So just quick recap. Got the Warwick that came back as an 80 plus. We've got the Imperial Dignitary, which came back as an 85. Snaggletooth, the red version, of course, came back as a 75. The A-Wing Pilot, a solid 85. And Zuckuss or Forlom, however you want to argue about it, came back as an 80. So very pleased with the results. Again, everything came back at or higher than what I was expecting. So can't get better than that. Thanks everybody for watching, and I hope you have a great day.